morning friends, myself Dr. Ashish Panchal from Trisha Institute of Biology. In last lecture, we already discussed the growth and what is growth and what is development. Now, here today we will discuss the growth is the measurable or not. Yes, of course, the growth is the measurable unit. Always in the plant growth at the cellular level. Cellular level means when the size of cell is increased, then the tissue size is increased, and then the organ and the organism size is increased. So always growth in the plant, it is at the cellular level. Now what is cellular level? Cellular level means actually it will increase the amount of protoplasm. Means always if this is the cell and the size of cell is increased, then their protoplasm is increased. But it is very difficult to measure directly the amount of protoplasma increase in the cells. So we can able to measure the growth by various way. For example, increase in number. Increase in number means, for an example, in the maize root apical cell, meristematic cell added the 17,500 cell per hour. So this is the growth expressed in term of the increase the number of cell. Similarly, in size, watermelon, actually the size of watermelon is increased around 3.5 lakhs time when the watermelon get matured. So it is the growth expressed in term of size. Same way, in the length, increase the length. For example, pollen tubes. So we know that this is the gynoecium, and the gynoecium has the stigma, style and ovary. When the pollen grains received by the stigma and it will develop the pollen tubes. So always the growth of pollen tubes is expressed in term of the length. And in the dicot plant, the leaf, initially the size of leaf is like that, and then after the size of leaf is increased. So here the growth expressed in term of increase the area. Okay, so this is the measurement of the growth. Always growth occur at the cellular level. At the cellular level means increase the amount of protoplasma, but we cannot able to measure the amount of protoplasma directly. So we can able to measure the growth in the plant by various terms, by increasing the number, increasing the size, increasing the length and increasing in the area. In number, maize root cell added around 17,500 cell per hour. Watermelon increased their size around 3.5 lakhs time than the immature fruit. Increase the length, the pollen tubes, when the pollen tubes formed in the style, okay, it is measured in term of the length. And last, area, the leaf size is increased, it measured in term of the increasing the area. Next, phases of the growth that we already discussed in chapter number 5, that is the region of the root. And as in the region of root, we already discussed the meristematic region, then elongation region and the maturation region. Similarly here, the phases of the growth, there are 3 phases: meristematic phase, elongation phase and the maturation phase. Okay, in meristematic phase, the meristematic phase possesses the meristematic cell, and we already discussed the meristematic cell has the high cell division capacity. So this cells has the continuously divide. And what are the characteristics of meristematic cell? So meristematic cell has the large amount of protoplasma, means they possess the more amount of protoplasma. Second, they possess the large nucleus, and the cell are connected with the help of the plasmodesmata. Plasmodesmata means it's a connection between the two plant cell with their cytoplasma. This is called the plasmodesmata. And this plasmodesmata is responsible for the transport of water as well as the other minerals from one cell to another cell. And the fourth characteristic is the cell wall. Always in the meristematic cell, the cell wall is primary, it is thin and it is made up of cells. Okay. Second, just it's a few above the meristematic phase, it is elongation phase. And this elongation phase, the red part, it is the elongation phase. And elongation phase increase the size of the cell by increasing the vacuole size, as well as it added the cell wall. For example, suppose this is the cell, so here it is the tertiary cell wall, then secondary cell wall, and then primary cell wall. This is primary cell wall, secondary cell wall, and the tertiary cell wall. So increase the number of cell wall and thereby increase the size of the cell. And when the size of the cell increase, the plant shows their growth. And the last is just above the elongation phase, few above, it is the maturation phase. And in maturation phase, the cell get matured, they get differentiated, and it produce the tissue system, and the organ. Okay, so this is all about the phases of the growth. Now, the condition for growth. Okay, as we know that growth require the various specific condition. It required the specific amount of water, it required the oxygen, it required the mineral nutritional, as well as it required the optimum temperature, okay, for the proper growth and the development. Water, we know that in this stomata, so we all know that when the water enter into the stomata, the size of the guard cell is increased and the turgidity of the cell is increased. So always water, the turgidity of the cell, when the water enter into the cell, it is called the end osmosis. Means when the water enter into the cell, due to entering of the cell, the turgor pressure, which pressure? Turgor pressure inside the cell is increased, and it helps in the extension of the growth. Means whenever the cell shows the end osmosis, due to end osmosis the water enter into the cell, and due to entry of the water the cell become turgid, and this turgidity of the cell help in the extension of the cell or increase the size of the cell. Also, the growth of the plant is always linked with the water status of the plant. If the plant has low amount of water, then growth will be decreased. Then next, O2. We know that the O2 is helping the respiration, and during the respiration what happens? The glucose get metabolized and they release the energy. So in absence of O2, plant cannot produce the sufficient energy, metabolic energy. So O2 is helping releasing the metabolic energy. And the nutrients. The nutrients like micro and the macronutrients, it help in the synthesis of the protoplasm. Also it is act as a source of energy. And always the plant getting the nutritional from the soil in a form of the various iron. Okay, and in addition, if these all things are present but the temperature is not in optimum range, then what happens? The plant cannot perform their proper growth. Why? Because each and every metabolic activity, it requires the optimum temperature. If the temperature is increased beyond the limit, then the enzymes are degrade, and if it is beyond the limit, means if it is decreased around 0 degree or 4 degree or 5 degree, then what happens? The enzymes get inactivated. So always for the proper growth and the development of the plant, it requires the optimum temperature is required. Okay, so this is all about the measurement of the growth, phases of the growth, and the condition for the growth. Now in next video we will discuss the growth rate. There are mainly two types of the growth rate, arithmetic and the geometric growth rate. Okay, thank you.